Meditation we like to share with you is that it's a beautiful way of separate us from the effect of emotions. And this separating from the effect of emotions, of course, is the inner peace and harmony and calm abiding. And this calm abiding, of course, is a reflection of the enlightened Buddha nature in ourselves. So calm abiding is not just being a calm person. In the calm abiding, we might connect to the peaceful, powerful harmony of the Buddha nature. I think that is the real meaning of calm abiding. Anyway, so I will give you some words, and then for yourself you can practice this meditation. So if you would like to sit in the comfortable position for yourself, which is generally that we sit stable as a mountain with our feet on the floor or the lotus seat if you're able to. So this is the undisturbability of the mind, whatever happens in our mind and feelings. And the upper body is straight. And this is a reflection of the pure nature of the mind without any obstruction. So this is a pure enlightened energy, so to speak. And our hands are resting on each other, which means that the Buddha nature inside is free from any discrimination. Everything and everyone is one. Which is the cause for the boundless compassion and the boundless love, if we do not discriminate between left and right and friend and unwanted person and so on. And our head is in the middle, not in a smartphone position or not too far backwards. And our face is an expression of the expression that all Buddhas have in their face. It is the lips are smiling a little bit, which is the kindness and the wisdom. And the eyes, if you are meditating with your eyes half open, then it means that you are aware of the suffering in the world, gazing at the world, but not getting involved. And when we gaze at the world, then we will discover countless examples of suffering. So this gaze is the gaze of compassion. And the lips is the expression of the wisdom. So if you can sit for a few moments in the awareness of this position. And then your body is not an ordinary body, but visualize yourself, consider yourself to be a Buddha, the body of a Buddha. You can choose your own favorite Buddha. So your body is now an enlightened body. Sitting in the Buddha posture. And this body is not an ordinary body, but it is a body of light, lucent, transcendent, crystal clear Buddha body, body of light, which symbolizes the enlightenment, the nirvana, with these qualities as just mentioned. And your mind is not your ordinary mind, busy, 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 but your mind is the mind behind our daily thoughts and feelings. Beyond that is the enlightened mind. It is radiating and crystal clear, free from any obstruction, abiding in a limitless emptiness and a limitless luminosity. And this is the emptiness and the compassion, or the emptiness and the wisdom of your Buddha, of the Buddha nature inside of you, inside this enlightened body. And it radiates in all directions, which is the limitless love and the limitless compassion that your gazing eyes are discovering. Let's say that this is a painting of the nirvana inside of you. And you're sitting on a lotus and a moon disk. And you're unattached from your daily life, the daily world that you're in. You're in the midst of it, but you're not touching any situation of your daily life. So this is the nirvana dimension of you in a samsaric environment. Don't worry if you understand or whatever. It's just the feeling or the experience is most important. The entrance into the most beautiful nature, or the connection. And try to abide in this feeling and experience and visualization without any influence from your daily samsaric life rising up. And now from this imagined and experienced enlightened position and quality and view, you watch your daily life with all its worries and all its busy things and all its experiences and all its disappointments and all its joy that you have experienced today or past time. So from this enlightened position, you view your daily samsaric life like a way of being in a cinema. Your life is unfolding as you experience it, but you know your viewpoint that it is constant change, that it is happiness and suffering and constant change. It's being busy and being in rest. Whatever you do, whatever you feel that comes up, from your wisdom point of view and your compassion point of view, you consider your daily life as constant change, constant activity, and so on, in a constant flux of change. Change for the better, change for the worse. There's no need to analyze. But here it is considering your daily life with all its ups and downs, pro and contrast, from the enlightened point of view inside of yourself, with wisdom and compassion. And the cinema is means do not enter any experience, but be aware of it, see it, feel it. But it's like a movie. It's there, but it's not real. Something like that. And whatever comes up, it's okay. Let it be. It will disappear and something else will arise. It's okay. Let it be. And so on. And this is the calm abiding in a non-differentiation of samsara and nirvana. Example-wise. And we do not grasp to nirvana. We do not reject samsara. Okay, thank you. You do not hear this, right? Okay. So back to samsara. The question from one of you is that the problem is that she is trying to combat a feeling of irritation. So sometimes I feel very irritated at the situation. And I know it's ego, but I go around in circles trying not to feel the irritation. I know it's a minor reality, and I laugh at myself, but still, laughing at yourself is always very healthy, especially with disturbing emotions. This is the smiling face of the Buddha. The smile means it is the wisdom of understanding the disturbances that are illusory, they arise, and they are there for a few moments and then they disappear. Okay, so very briefly, what is the arising of all our disturbing emotions and all our disturbing feelings? And it's also the arising of our happiness and our happy feelings and our joyful feelings and our wonderful, loving thoughts and mental formations. So what are they, where are they arising from? And I know that I think that you are familiar with the senses that we have, and that the senses, they enter our consciousness through our eyes and ears and so on. So they are neutral, but how they experience, how they see or feel or taste or hear the forms in the outside world. And this is the first aggregate, the aggregate of form. Something outside enters our consciousness through the senses. And then the problems start because when we observe something through the senses, then there's an inner feeling in the consciousness that has a certain experience. What is happening now inside of me? What am I hearing? What am I seeing or tasting? It's a rough experience. Yes. So this is the second aggregate. The first is form, and the second is it's a rough experience. And the third one is then a more special feeling arises. The feeling arises, and this has three qualities. It is a positive feeling, or it is a negative feeling, or it is neutral. As far as a feeling can be neutral, I don't know. But the quality of our feelings are positive, negative, or neutral. So we experience a form from outside, and then it is the quality of positive, negative, joyful, or negative, painful. And then the fourth aggregate is the mental formations, and that is where it means it's where we start to think, analyze, judge, prejudge. We build our rational opinions, and so on. And then the fifth aggregate is where all these four come together. So the experience, the impression from the outside world as an experience, and then the feelings, and then the mental formations. And when all these come together, then there's a full consciousness, that is the consciousness of the situation. And next time we will speak about the difference between consciousness and spirit and mind. But here it is evident that we experience thousands of moments of consciousness throughout the day. Because the input from the outside world and our feelings and mental formations are just moments and moments and moments after each other. Then there's a new impression from the ears, a new impression from the nose, new impression from what I see, and they bring in these aggregates, and then a new impression comes from the outside world. They activate the new again the aggregates. So this is a very busy world of feelings and mental formations. And now the question is, where do these, so there can be very nice feelings, or there can be disturbing feelings like irritation in this example, this question. But where does this quality come from? From be it positive, be it negative, in all its colors. And the source of the quality of the emotions and the mental formations is in the alaya vijnana. And the alaya vijnana, I think you know now, is the Tibetan name for a storehouse consciousness. So this consciousness is stored with all kinds of habitual tendencies in the storehouse consciousness. This means that throughout our lives we have learned how to deal with emotions and feelings and mental formations, and then we created how to act with these emotions and to act with these feelings and how to act with these mental formations. And this dealing with has become an habitual tendency throughout our life and previous lives. So the storehouse consciousness is a storehouse of habitual tendencies that we have learned and created and stored throughout our life and previous lives. So this is, in fact, karma, the effect of karma. And secondly, we think that these habitual tendencies, in the positive or in the negative way, we consider this as our of my ego. So the ego is nothing more or less than a collection of habitual tendencies. Ego says this feeling is mine, and this thoughts are mine, and these decisions are mine, and these opinions are mine, and these feelings are mine, and the way I communicate, that is how I am. But actually what we are, from the wisdom point of view, experiencing and analyzing is all subjective experiences that arise from the alaya vijnana. And if there is a situation outside of us that resembles a previous situation, so when there is an experience in this moment, and it resembles a previous likewise situation, then the alaya vijnana produces this habitual tendency. Because the alaya vijnana understands the situation, and then it looks back in its archive, and then, oh yes, I've had this before, then I took this kind of reaction. This is similar with the situation now, and then the habitual tendency is produced. And this whole process we call ego. So the alaya vijnana is the storehouse of all our karmic habitual tendency, be it in a very beautiful and powerful and loving and compassionate way, or in the opposite. So this question about trying to combat irritation is now viewed from this process. And also I go around in circles and I try not to feel the irritation. And here's the problem, and here's also the solution, because we can, of course, combat our negative feelings because they make us unhappy. That's evident that negative feelings and thinking makes us unhappy. So it makes sense to combat them. Well, we come to that soon. But trying not to feel, that is useless. Trying not to feel certain kinds of emotions or mental formation that I don't like is impossible, because the alaya vijnana is a very strong force, and where habitual bad tendencies from many lives are stored. So they are very strong, and it is impossible not to feel them. So not to feel, in this example, irritation increases our irritation. Or in other words, maybe it suppresses the irritation, which means I will push it back in the alaya vijnana. And then when I push it back, so to speak, then this irritation is confirmed in the alaya vijnana. It is not dissolved, it is confirmed as a negative emotion, irritation in this case. So by trying not to feel or to suppress or to ignore or to deny means that the habitual tendency of irritation in a certain situation is established again. So it is not very healthy to suppress, not to feel, and it is not helpful because it is a confirmation of something a certain feeling that makes me happy. And so the samsaric circle is confirmed and enhanced again, is making stronger. So it is not for positive feelings, it is very good to enhance the positive feelings and the positive mental formations. But for the negative, it is the opposite. So not feeling is very unhealthy, as I've just explained, and like suppressing, it causes more suffering. It increases the habitual tendency, and it will arise in a different situation. It is similar, and then it will arise again. So there's no solution whatsoever. And also it's very bad for our physical health to suppress something that is painful, irritating, means that the blood pressure can rise, the heart can speed up, the stomach can be involved, even the breath can malfunction in this situation. There's stress in the body all over. And then there's the risk of an explosion, so to speak, that suppressing irritation somewhere must find its way to dissolve. So it might influence the healthy quality of the body in a negative way, and by suppressing, it might bring a tension that later on might turn towards ourselves. So this is about trying not to feel. And there are some advices. The first thing about trying not to feel, I've just mentioned, is to be mindful of, instead of not trying to feel, the opposite and more healthy is to be mindful of the arising of, in this case, irritation. But all these principles are value for all disturbances of feeling and mental formation. So just not irritation, but all disturbing feelings and mental formations have the same principle. So to firstly be mindful, be aware, be honest that in that a certain feeling, irritation is arising. Because acknowledging brings a certain step towards peace. It is not peace, but acknowledging at least gives us the feeling or the respect that it is there, and I don't have to use energy to suppress or to ignore. So acknowledging is more a step closer to inner peace than rejecting. It's of course not very pleasant to acknowledge that there are negative feelings and negative thoughts and opinions that cause pain and unrest. But acknowledging is the step, even if it is unpleasant, to understand, and maybe to accept. But accepting is not very important. I think that's often very difficult to accept. So I think acknowledging is to recognize and to acknowledge is far better than try to accept and far better than try to suppress. Acceptance is not necessary. Acknowledging the honesty is the beginning. And then the second point or advice is that, as I've just mentioned, that if some person outside of me is causing me trouble, or if a situation is terribly irritating, whatever that is, then the second step is the right view. We have to try to have the view that it is not coming from the outside, the form. This person is the first aggregate, the form, but this outside form is not the cause for my irritation. Everything through the aggregates is arising in me. So this irritation is somewhere in my feelings and also somewhere in the alaya vijnana. So every happiness, every disturbing of happiness is arising from my storehouse consciousness, or in other words, I'm the one that is causing this irritation. So this helps because it helps us not to accuse the other, not to offend the other, not to fight with the other, because the other is not guilty, so to speak. The other person in the situation is not guilty. Of course, there are terribly irritating persons, and not everybody is a very kind person from character. But the disturbance inside is caused by myself. I've just mentioned it arises from the aggregates and the alaya vijnana. So acknowledging that brings also a little bit of calmness, that it is me that is has this feeling. So I'm part of the problem, not the other one, and I have to try to find an antidote. I come to this antidote later. So what these two things mean is that we do not create negative karma again. We stop creating negative karma by blaming someone else and projecting our irritation to this person. This is a creation inside of negative karma. And negative karma is the cause for unhappiness. So in this way, we should cut or try to redirect from negative karma to calmness. Calmness is a neutral way of creating karma. Or maybe calmness is not creating karma at all. I don't know. But anyway, it's not negative karma. So we stop this process by creating negative karma again with all the consequences for later. And then the calm abiding aspect. Calm abiding means that we feel something. Calm abiding means that we understand something in my way of thinking. And especially when it is harming or painful or threatening or confusing or utterly disturbing, whatever. Then the calm abiding is also a step in not creating negative karma, but also to calm down the irritation. So we have the view, we have the acknowledging, we have the not creating negative karma by acting according to that, and we have the calm abiding. And calm abiding is, in essence, very simple. And that's what we did in the meditation at the beginning. Calm abiding is being aware, being conscious of this is a painful feeling. It arises from my life vijnana, it arises in my heart, in my mind, as a feeling or as a disturbing thought. It arises and it will disappear. When we practice calm abiding, we observe like a observer, like a cinema, as in the meditation. We observe the things that causes suffering inside of me. It means not rejecting and not fighting, not following, not suppressing, not enhancing, doing nothing. No action. The only thing is with wisdom, maybe wisdom or understanding what is arising and that it will appear. And this is the emptiness aspect. So all the things arise from the alaya vijnana, which is the mind. They disappear with the speed of light. So if we are able to observe instead of reacting, then this is the calm abiding. Even in sadness, in tears, at the moment of death, or in having a small fight in the supermarket, whatever it is, the calm abiding is observing, being aware of where it comes from, being aware of its danger, and being aware, and then let it be. Yeah? This song of Paul McCartney, this Let It Be is Mother Mary speaking words of wisdom. And Mother Mary is the Catholic Church, of course, the Holy Mother Mary. Maybe in Buddhism we say Avalokiteshvara, I don't know, or White Tara, or Medicine Buddha, I don't know, or the inner Buddha, or the wisdom, whatever. But these are all the qualities that we have meditated on in the beginning. So observe your suffering, let it be out of wisdom and out of compassion. And this is the advice of Mother Mary. Huh? And this Mother Mary is inside of us, always. It is like the mother that is always embracing us, always try to protect us, always try to calm us down, without any judgment. It's our loving and wise nature. So this is the calm. This is an example of calm abiding. And maybe you remember from the course of living and dying that at the moment of death there is the luminosity of the mind, and this is also called the mother. So trying to rely on and to connect with the Holy Mary inside, the Holy Mother inside, is also very, very useful at the moment of death and beyond, but especially in our daily life. And then another advice is don't judge so hard about yourself when you have an inner disturbance. Don't judge too hard about yourself, or maybe not at all, but be kind and compassionate. We are not perfect. Perfect. And we can do the Tonglen meditation. I think you're all familiar with that. Tonglen meditation on the spot. I will not go into that because I think you will know Tonglen on yourself, which we did last week. Tonglen with an irritating person. We can this on the spot by exchanging, by taking and giving. And what we also can do, but that requires some more experience, I think, is exchanging oneself with the other. So this person or the situation, and then you exchange yourself being being this special person, or being in this special situation from the other's point of view. And then also, which is a kind of training, we've been talking about in some courses ago or last year about the 6 paramis. And these 6 paramis we should not consider as a very beautiful teaching of Buddha, but these 6 paramis are the way out of negative karma, and these 6 paramis are the way to wisdom and compassion and to happiness, not only for ourselves, but also others. And these 6 paramis are also the liberation of suffering on the spot. So I think you know an irritating person. Being irritated is the paramita of patience that we can practice. It is the paramita of benevolence. Instead of raising your blood pressure, you can try benevolence, to give kind words to this person, or try to do something positive in the situation. And that is the joyous effort paramita. And for that we need mindfulness and concentration. Without that, we are lost in our irritation because we are not mindful and we are not concentrated. We need the parami of morality, and morality means, briefly, do not harm yourself and do not harm someone else, very briefly. So if this is arising as the paramita of morality in the specific situation, then we are protected. And of course, this is all based on the parami of wisdom. So the 6 paramis are protection in situations that we are not feeling very powerful, not very wise, and that we feel dependent on our own feelings and on others. So the 6 paramis are independency and are the way out of suffering and the way to wisdom and compassion. And that is far much better than irritation or some other disturbance. So this is how we should value the 6 paramis on the spot. It is all the protection out of the samsaric suffering, and actually it is the path from the spiritual point of view, it is the path to nirvana, or to the, or it is radiating, these six paramis is radiating the qualities of the Buddha nature. So there are several levels. So using kind words to this other person, and it brings me to the last advice, if you don't mind me saying so, is we talked last week about to change our view. I've already explained this, but not to change our way of thinking. And these are examples of to change our way of thinking. The way of thinking, change our way of thinking here in this example is that instead of resisting or instead of creating aversion, but that makes it worse, as I've explained. Now we should, because I think my thinking is, when I do this, then I defend myself, I protect myself, and I attack the other with my irritated words or behavior or my angry look. I defend myself. I think that I'm defending myself, but it is the opposite. That's what I've just explained. So another thing for how we can change our way of thinking, apart from the view, is that I approach this situation or this irritating person, I approach him or her with kindness and openness. So instead of aversion, I produce openness and kindness. And that's the most difficult thing to do, but it is the direct way to enlightenment and liberation, so to speak. So what are we doing? Let's say we are in a meeting, and it is a terrible meeting, and it's driving me crazy, and I feel all kinds of resistance, whatever. And I build all kinds of opinions. So changing the attitude is to try to ask questions to this person that is dominating the meeting. We try to understand by asking questions, by taking interest or developing interest, be it in the mind or be it through words. And we try to listen without our prejudices. And this, of course, is a way of Tonglen, but it is mainly to, let's say, to dissolve our resistance by respecting and taking interest and asking questions and so on with this person or this situation. So we dive into this whole situation with all our mindfulness and with all our kindness and all our interest to the persons in the meeting or this special person. And we are open. And this is then the attitude which is contrary to the attitude of aversion. We try to deepen our understanding what is happening in the meeting as possible with an objective view. But at least we develop interest, sincere interest. So instead of attacking, we start listening, for instance. And I feel, from my experience, I feel this is the most impressive attitude in situation of irritation and aversion. Not starting with defense, but asking, what do you mean? What is your, what do you try to say? I don't understand. Can you tell me more? I try to be, that's my attitude. I try to be interested, and so on. So try to deepen your understanding, and I find it very effective in many situations in my life to do this. So in the spiritual point of view, we can say we change ourselves from a samsaric being with all its defense into a bodhisattva that is really trying with an open and kind mind to connect with the enemy. So we change our normal human quality in that of the bodhisattva attitude. Okay, maybe some useful things. And you can't, and think you can imagine the joy and the happiness and the inner peace and harmony when you try this and when you succeed. If you don't succeed, no problem. Next time, new life, new situation, new chances. But anytime, every time that we try and there's a little bit of success, maybe 10%, and you experience the joy and the inner peace and the harmony with yourself and the situation. And this is the radiation of the Buddha nature. It is the happiness and joy of the enlightened mind that I've connected to and experienced. So step by step, day by day, we become more and more happy and peaceful and joyful and stable and undisturbable and non-discriminative and clear mind. The Buddha, the meditation posture we did last week. These increase the stability, the non-duality, the clear clarity of mind, the smiling face, the undisturbability, which are the qualities of the Buddha inside. So it's not just transforming, it is also the non-differentiation of samsara and nirvana on a deeper level. Or transforming from a samsaric being dominated by the alaya vijnana into a little enlightened being. Okay, so there's a far deeper meaning than just try to calm down when you're irritated. There's a far deeper perspective than that. And in itself, this is already a motivation for, in a kind way, try to overcome our disturbing emotions and mental formations. Good. It's just an impression and some personal experience. So, and this brings us to, I don't know if I can finish this topic, but we can continue next week. But this attitude that I've just tried to explain is actually the first level of compassion. Compassion means, okay, compassion is the other side, the flip side of love. And love is the flip side of compassion. These two are non-dual. Yes. So compassion means actually I refuse to be offensive, and I refuse to be hurting myself and others. And compassion, as another meaning, is free from any resistance and is also free from any attachment. And compassion is also free from analysis. So free from analyzing, free from resistance and attachment, free from and refuses to be offensive or hurting or damaging oneself and others. This is the basis of, let's say, limited compassion. It is conditional because we are not yet an enlightened person. Maybe you are, but I'm not. So as long as we are not enlightened beings in the state of enlightenment and liberation, then it is always conditional compassion. And one of my teachers recently mentioned that the Buddha in itself is free from thoughts. And I found it astonishing, but of course I'm not very well learned, and the teacher is. Buddha is free from thought. So compassion is also free from thought. It is non-judging, not analyzing, and so on. The pure compassion is a pure state without any way of thinking or analyzing or discrimination, something like that. So, but in the limited sense, the conditional compassion means it is trying to be loving and comforting and sharing the suffering of others. And also trying comforting and sharing the suffering in myself. In essence, there is no difference between compassion for oneself, even be it conditional, and compassion for whoever other person, whatever other person. It's the same principle. Yeah? So it is the conditional compassion means it is limited because I have my limitations in many ways. But at least compassion means I am touched by the tears, the sadness, the sorrow, the suffering from someone else, and the other way around, myself. So compassion means it is being touched, sincerely being touched by the tears of someone else, whatever these tears may be. And there are many, many forms of crying. And I feel that compassion is always related, or sadness and suffering is always related to loss. I think the basic suffering in our lives, in whatever way, is to experience a loss. Huh? Your health, your expectations, your self-esteem, relationship. We've been talking about this first meetings about betrayal, loss of trust, and loss of faith, whatever. So I feel that suffering is always arising from a loss of something inside of me or outside of me. And of course, we are suffering ourselves, and that's why we are limited in our compassion. But the essence, the truth, the true feeling of essence is being touched by the suffering of someone else. And that's the difference with self-pity. Self-pity means the other one is suffering and happily it's not me. Self-pity is comparing and is judging. this person is suffering happily, it's not me. Or my suffering is far worse than the suffering of this other person. These are examples of self-pity. There's a comparison one's own suffering with the other. So it's more like self-pity is more like judging and like creating a distance, not participating, not being touched, and also not reacting on this person. It's distanced. There's no connection. There's no sharing with the suffering of this other person, with this other person. These are examples of as a priority of one's own suffering, one's own perspective. So from self-pity, it's impossible to produce compassion, because compassion, as just explained, is really sincerely getting tears in your eyes because of the suffering of others. But at the same time, compassion is can be comfort for someone, but that's the only thing we can do. Conditional compassion is limited to our ego, to our circumstances, to our own health, to our busy life, other priorities. So there is a sincere compassion, but we are limited in our capacities or in our situation to continue compassion. We have other things to do and so on. So this is also an example of conditional, limited compassion, but the sincerity is there. The intentions are there, but we are limited. And we are also limited maybe in sharing suffering, or maybe we are also limited in compassion for ourselves. And then it is also difficult to produce compassion for others. We might feel powerless, we might feel exhaustion, we might feel guilty. Of course, we put ourselves aside for the benefit of this person, but we cannot do this 24 hours a day. We have our own life to live. And we want to return to our life, and we cannot be in the presence of one of suffering day after day. And even if this person is a family or someone in my family, then also these limitations, as I've just mentioned, are there. We have our emotional, mental, and practical and physical priorities and limitations. And then sometimes we feel guilty about this, which is also a limitation. And then the second level of meditation is, the first level is related to the obvious suffering, which is the first noble truth, the suffering of change and suffering of the obvious suffering, sickness, and so on, or being fired or whatever, or being in a state of despair. So this is a consequence that our compassion is aimed at. And the second level of compassion is the third suffering of the first noble truth, and that is the suffering that is caused by the habitual tendencies that arise from our alaya vijnana. And our habitual tendency can produce immense suffering. But it is a habitual tendency, a way of thinking, a way of handling emotions that disturb our suffering. And this, let's say, this behavioral patterns can cause compassion, arise compassion in ourselves, because it can be very painful. It can be people can be depressed, or someone can be in confusion, and this can arise compassion in me. But to feel compassion for someone is confused is very difficult because we can often not understand this confusion or this loneliness or this aggression or this feeling of less self-esteem or feeling guilt about what one has done and regret. So these inner tendencies are for the outside person. Of course, some compassion can arise, but actually you cannot understand the suffering. This is also the case of in the first level of compassion, but it is practical. We can have some empathy because we have the same experiences. But for the habitual patterns, this is the psychological difficulties. It is very difficult to understand and then to be compassionate. So the essence of these two kinds of compassion is that the most important thing is to have a sincere feeling, and being touched by the suffering of others sincerely, and that is to be part of it, to listen to it, to share it. Maybe some practical help, but that's something else. But actually, our compassion can maybe bring some warmth and kindness in this person's situation, but compassion cannot solve the problems of the suffering of others. So compassion is participating in many ways, being there, but compassion is not an instrument for to solve the problem or to solve the cause of suffering. So being present in a warm and kind and loving way, not judging, but being there, without trying to make it relative, without trying to make it bigger or intenser. It is try to be in the sadness of this other person. And this is called empathy. Empathy. And this is gold in sadness, in suffering. That's why we have Tonglen, but also that's why we have to place yourself in the position of this person, to change yourself with this person. But we also need the calm abiding. Right? So these are meditations that can help us to be in the suffering world of this other person. It enhances our presence and our empathy. That is what we can do. Right? And then the third level of compassion is that of the Buddha, which is objectless compassion. It is non-discriminative. It is altruism. It's completely free of self-interest. There's no aversion and no attachment. There's not so what hesitation whatsoever. And it is egoless and it is selfless. And this is the level of compassion of the Bodhisattva and the Buddha. So it is objectless, it is selfless, and there is no me or mine, there's no ego involved. It is pure altruism. There's no expectation whatsoever about what I want to have in return. It is free from self-interest. It is free from attachment and aversion. There's no hesitation whatsoever to enter the world of tears of someone else. And the main aim is to strive for the happiness of others, no one excluded, and it conquers all barriers and limitations. So one can say it is seeing reality as it is. But this kind, the third level of the enlightened beings is, and bodhisattvas is a spontaneous, always present, unconditional presence in the sadness of others, without getting lost in the suffering of others and without enhancing the suffering of others, which we do in the limited compassion. So here we might say it is the the natural state of compassion, as I just mentioned, in a state of calm abiding, and it's the spontaneous, natural arising of love, compassion, and empathy for this other person. It is a spontaneous, present manifestation, whatever the painful situation it is, and whoever it is. So I think, contemplating on this topic in the past days, that even when we have limited compassion or conditioned compassion, or even when we have whatever our limitations are, as I've just explained, I think that all of us, from the viewpoint of Mahayana and the Bodhisattva, that this third level of compassion, this unconditional bodhicitta, is in all of us. It is a natural state that is in all of us. But because of samsaric and because of conditioned and so forth and so on that I've explained, there's obscurations and limitations because of our samsaric life. But it doesn't mean that this unconditional compassion is not there. I think the unconditional compassion is our nature. This is our nirvana, our inner enlightenment body state or bodhisattva state or something like that. It's always there, but we have our limitations and obscurations. So it's not the case that we can create this unconditional compassion at the moment of enlightenment. If there is we überhaupt a moment of enlightenment. I think that trying to make our compassion as wide and as fast and as unconditional as possible is the arising of the bodhicitta inside. So it's already there, it is obscured, but whatever loving or compassionate action we do by body, speech, or mind is a radiation of the unconditioned bodhicitta, the unconditioned compassion of the Buddha inside. So it's there, it radiates, but we have to connect with it and try to discover it and try to practice, as I've explained. For example, with the situation of irritation. Right? This irritation, transforming irritation into unconditional bodhicitta is a wonderful possibility to connect with the radiation of the Buddha nature. So we will continue next week with this unconditioned, and this pure being inside of ourselves. Is this okay? So every day, so many opportunities to be happy and to be compassionate and to feel joy and to feel liberated and to be of significance for others. And also to be disappointed or I failed, but next time better. Be compassionate and loving towards yourself. Right? Okay. Oh, there's a very nice meditation on this. There are many beautiful meditations. You have, let's say, 10, 15 minutes time. Is that okay? Or is there a football match or your favorite series on television? That's the benefit of Netflix. You can say, no, not today, but okay, tomorrow. But on television, we have to be there, not postponing. Okay, the meditation is like, the technical term is the qualified round breathing meditation. Qualified round breathing meditation, but that's not important. It is like this. I give a short introduction and then we start and I'll add some help for you. What we do is we breathe in and I'm aware of, I feel that I'm breathing in and I know that I'm breathing in. So two aspects on the in-breath. I feel that I'm breathing in and I know that I'm breathing in. So feeling and knowing, feeling and consciousness. And with this feeling and knowing of the in-breath, I feel a wonderful white light entering my body. This white light, of course, is the radiating of your enlightened Buddha nature. That is the meaning. So with the in-breath, I know that I am breathing in wonderful white light, and I feel the white light entering my body. And then, with this white light, there is a positive, loving, whatever. You can choose for yourself what you need to that enters your body from the enlightened state of your mind, that enters your body, which is healing for you, or supporting for you, or comforting for you. You can choose for yourself. But something loving, something compassionate from your enlightened mind inside is given to you. And this is, I know that I'm breathing, I know that I'm breathing in this, let's say, this healing thing, and I feel it. And then you have a small pause after the in-breath, and you feel that your whole body is immersed with this, let's say, comfort. So you have to control your breath, not very strict, but be aware of your breath. It feels, when you hold your breath for a few moments, naturally, you feel that this loving thing is entering your whole body, or it can also be simple, beautiful light. And when you breathe out, you feel that you are dissolving with dark light. You are dissolving something painful or whatever, something angry, something bitterness. You can choose. And so you feel on the out breath that I'm dissolving, freeing myself, and I know that I'm freeing myself. Okay? So you have to work hard. Okay, let's try. So the in-breath and the light is from your loving, compassionate Buddha nature, the compassion, the love, making me happy, and the out-breath, the feeling is the feeling of it, the healing, and the out-breath is the compassion. Liberate yourself through this meditation technique from pain or suffering. Okay, try. So please sit comfortable, as always. Take a deep breath. Relax your body. Forget all your thinking and focus naturally on what is to come. So breathe in with a feeling and a knowing of the in-breath. We do 2 or 3 breathing rounds to train a little bit. So breathe in and feel that you're breathing in and know that you're breathing in, and some light entering with the in-breath. That's 1. Breathe in, feel and know the light, the beautiful luminosity, breathing in. Continue with your breathing. Then after the in-breath, you make a short stop. Don't overdo for yourself. Keep your natural breathing. Make the short stop. Feel your whole body be filled with the breath and the light. So this is step 2. Breathe in, and with the stop, you feel your whole body filled with the breathing and the light radiating throughout your whole body, and continue a bit breathing. And then step 3, on the out breath, breathe out something that is of tears for you, in whatever way, some suffering, breathe out. With a dark cloud, and when you breathe out, you feel, I'm breathing out this suffering, and I know that I'm breathing out this suffering, the compassion. Okay, here we go. Breathe in. One time short. Breathe in with the luminosity of the enlightened mind, bringing in something good or positive that you need. Feel it and know it. A short stop. Feel that it's healing your whole body and mind. And breathe out something dark and something that you want to be liberated from. Okay. Give priority to your normal breath and adjust your visualizations slowly, step by step. Next round, a little bit better. Don't worry about the quality. But breathe naturally. Okay, thank you.